Hey man, it's Kevin Smith.
Hey, this is Jay Music.
Hey, I'm Scott Snyder.
I'm Cena Grace.
And you're listening
to the Absolute Geek.
The Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek Podcast.
Check it out, Snoogans.
Welcome, everyone, to the greatest geek and nerd podcast in all the damn internets, the Absolute Geek Podcast. I am Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Brian.
I'm Corbin.
Hey, welcome, everyone. Tonight
we
bring back Corbin to sit in with us as we're... Look at that dance.
Hey. It's a work in progress. I'm developing.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. We bring in Corbin because tonight it finally goes down. It finally happens. Hopefully the debate of debate comes to an end and it gets put to bed. Tonight we're changing things up with the way we do things, and we're gonna review our personal top 10 best Batman comic storylines. Should be an interesting show. We invite everyone in the chat on Facebook and Mixer and Facebook, YouTube and Mixer, you know, whatever. We invite you all to participate and let us know what you think as we go through our lists. So prepare for what should hopefully be a fantastically interesting show. Any last words before we start this, Corbin?
You guys are valued friends, and I hope no feelings are hurt in the process of this. Spare me, guys, please. Do not jump down my throat.
Yes.
But I'm excited. I've been working all day for this.
Everyone are friends here at the end of the day.
Yes. Exactly.
So I think the best way to do this is for each of us just to read our lists 1 through 10, and then we can go over the books that we all have together on, you know, there's going to be books that we all have on each other, the same books we have on our list that, you know, probably 4 or 5 books will be the same. And then we can talk about those big books that all, you know, are on each other's lists. And then we can come back and individually talk about the weird ones that aren't on other people's lists. How do you think? What do you think?
I think that's a good way to do it. But before we get started, let's remind everyone, guys, we have some big giveaways going on. We have the road to 200 subscribers, where we're giving away a slabbed 9.8 Alex Ross variant sketch cover, thanks to Kyle. We have the 50 subscriber giveaway, or not 50 subscriber, the 50 liked video giveaway for the Spider-Man Venomized poster or print, 11x17 print. So yeah, remember to make sure to hit that like button if you're in the chat, and make sure to subscribe, and let's get to that road to 200 so we can give away a slab. Also, if you guys have seen the Absolute Geek Facebook page, or Twitter or social media, we now have our brand new Absolute Geek logo shirts for sale. So if you guys want to help support the show and get a dope-ass shirt in the process, make sure to pick one of those up at our online store, and we definitely appreciate the support.
But if you message me, I'll send you one for free.
There you go. That's a fucked up way to do it.
I got like 2 left, so one or 2 left.
Which one? You have the comic code one, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Get a free comic code shirt. But all right. So let's fucking jump into this, and who wants to kick us off?
I can start.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's my top 10. Number 1, Killing Joke. Number 2, Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. Number 3, Dark Knight. Number 4, Kingdom Come. Number 5, Batman and Son, which is the introduction of Damian in the Grant Morrison run, which was 655, I believe.
Yeah.
Where it started. Number 6, I have the entire Scott Snyder Capullo run, which is basically the reason I did that is because Court of Owls and Death of the Family were both on my list at the same area. So I'm just considering that whole run one huge story. It's just too good. Another one is, or the one after that is Batman and Robin, the Morrison and Quitely one. And then Long Halloween at number 8. Under the Red Hood at number 9, Tower of Babel at number 10. I do have a couple honorable mentions in Hush, Venom, and Prodigal. And then I threw a couple up there for non-comics just to throw out some discussion towards the end of the night. I think that because even though these aren't in the comics, I think they're great Batman stories. And they're Heart of Ice, which is the Mr. Freeze animated storyline. Feet of Clay, which is the Clayface animated storyline. Dark Knight, the Nolan movie. And
wait. I gotta let. Corbin looks like his head's about to explode in laughter.
No,
like
because I'm excited. No, keep going. I'm sorry. I'm excited about some.
Yeah, those are my books. So, who wants to go next?
Go ahead, Matt.
All right, I'll do mine in reverse order. Well, no, I'll do it in the same. Yeah, I'll do it in reverse order. So at number 10, I have Tower of Babel. I know it's a Justice League story, but I'll tell you why I picked it when we get into that. Number 9, Death of the Family. Number 8, Batman Nightfall. Number 7, A Death in the Family. 6, Hush. 5, Court of Owls. 4, The Long Halloween. 3, Batman Year One. 2, The Dark Knight Returns. And 1, Killing Joke.
Okay.
Wow.
I guess all right. I'll read mine. So I'll start at the top. 1, Batman Dark Knight Returns. 2, The Killing Joke. 3, Tower of Babel. 4, Under the Red Hood. 5, Batman Year 100. 6, Batman Year One. 7, Batman Son of the Demon. 8, Batman Gotham by Gaslight. 9, Batman Venom. And 10, Batman Nightfall. Court of Owls just outside my top 10.
Ooh. All right, I guess I'll do mine. And
Don't sound enthusiastic, Kyle.
per the instructions, I did do 10. I originally only wanted to do the ones that, like, when I set it down, I was like, holy fuck. Not like, that was a good story. That's a good story. But, like, ones that were just, personally to me, I was like, ooh, like it really. But to keep in the game, I guess I'll do 10. So I'll do from 10 to 1. I had Batman, Nightfall, Long Halloween, Batman and Robin, Dark Knight Returns. Now this one's going to be the one everyone gets. So I can't remember what the actual story was called, but it's in the new in the Rebirth series. It's right when Tom King introduces Bane, and that whole storyline with Bane. That I loved. Okay. And then
you're talking with the Catwoman stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Before the marriage, before
the
whole wedding.
I got you.
So it's right after, like, issue, like.
It's right after the Gotham Girl stuff.
Yes. And then I got Death of the Family at 5, Death in the Family at 4, Year One at 3, Killing Joke at 2, and I have Hush at number 1 because that's my absolute favorite fucking Batman story.
Whoa.
When the first time I read it, I was blown away, and all I did was take the trade I had, because I had the books with the trade. I flipped it back over, and I fucking read it again and again. Actually, I read it like 3 times.
I feel like if this is something that we're going to continue doing, like top 10 list one-offs every now and then, we need to get a gif of fucking Pete, the comic book guy, just ringing his bell screaming, fight, 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 so we can just start our debates.
Well, it looks like everybody has Killing Joke on their list, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Great story.
And most of us have it at the top. I think that the majority of people that are comic book fans that have read Batman, that book is going to be 1, 2, or 3.
It's not in my top 10.
I put it at 1 just because of the pure like ramifications that storyline has had on the story of Batman, even in continuity. Like it was such a good story that they've incorporated. They took it as just a one-off and then started incorporating it in the storyline with Barbara Gordon and all that. So that's why I think it was as the overall effect it had on Batman as a character is why I put it at number 1.
Well, shit, the overall effect it had in comics in general, that's a top 5 all-time comic ever created. I mean, it changed comics in the 80s along with Alan Moore and Frank Miller both changed comics in the early 80s the same way that Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams did it in the early 70s. So Killing Joke and Dark Knight are usually they can be flip-flop 1 and 2, and then if you throw in year one, that's usually 1, 2, or 3 with most people. I don't even have year 1 on my top 10. I'm not a fan of year 1, and Hush was right outside of my top 10. I liked Hush. I just not enough to put it in my top 10.
I loved it. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is.
It was a great storyline. I remember I was going to comic shops weekly, and that was on my pull list when it happened. And that was like The Walking Dead back in the day, where everybody, when you went in the comic shop, that was the first thing you read, and you go, "Hey, did you read it yet?" And the whole storyline of bringing Jason Todd back started in Hush.
Yep.
And that was pretty amazing the way they pulled that off. And then at the same time, if you guys remember that Hush came out, they started doing the DC Direct figures, and those DC Direct Hush figures really pushed that storyline.
True that.
I think go ahead, Corbin.
Oh, no. I was making such a case for Dark Knight Returns at number 1 just because I think that's just a masterpiece story as far as Batman is concerned, just the whole mythos. And yeah, it's kind of weird that it is because it starts at Batman at the tail end of his career. But it still does such a great job of delving into Bruce Wayne the Man, Batman as him being the same, the relationship with the Joker, Gordon, all of the quintessential characters, save for Robin in that Batman universe. So that's what was big for me. And I'm with you, Brian. As far as Batman Year 1, I put in just because of how important it is, and the fact that, to me, that seemed like a reasonable spot to have it. I'm not a big fan of that story. And Batman Hush, I think the power of that story, to me, is more on the just wonderful work by Jim Lee than it is the actual story. I found the story rather flimsy. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it wasn't much mystery. It was kind of paper thin. But the illustrations are such that I can look at them again and again and again, even while looking at the story and going, it's not a great one to me. That's my opinion.
I liked it because there were so many things involved with it in so many different places, and there was so much stuff going on that you could tell it was pulling you in these different directions. And I think that's what I like about a lot of these Batman stories, because if you notice a lot of the Batman stories, that's what's happening with them. There's so many characters involved, and it's rippling out, and I think that's just kind of why I liked it so much.
I think, like, I agree with you and Brian Corbin. Like, Hush, I felt Hush is very clumsy, but the art is beautiful. The art takes care of the storytelling, and also you can't tell me you saw that twist ending coming, that the Riddler is behind everything, and it's just
I thought that was awesome.
No, I did too. That's one of the reasons why I love that story so much. It just is purely for that twist ending.
Are we talking the comics, or because I saw in the chat someone mentioned animated series? Did we watch that? I think this is as close as any to getting to that. Like,
I think
did you guys watch?
It's just the Hush storyline in animated form, right? So
honestly, okay, briefly, if I could, I hated the movie. I mean, they made the Riddler. I mean, am I spoiling anything by saying this, or can I just?
You're good.
They made the Riddler Hush. Like, that's who he was. Basically, Riddler had a brain tumor. He made some deals. He got into the Lazarus pit. He had enhanced, strength and use of his mind, and so he remade himself into that villain. And then they killed, like, the sneak that happened in the book where I'm forgetting his name now. basically the guy who's actually Hush. Come on, help talk to me.
Yeah.
What's
It's some Jason Barr.
I have the book. I don't know why I'm messing around.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So in the movie, he legit died, and the Riddler killed him. And I think brief aside there, I think they made that change just for the sake of change, and that was stupid to me. But to go back, you're right. I didn't see the twist come with the Riddler, but then when it happened, I wasn't. Again, it wasn't like a mystery that had me like, oh my God, there you go. It was like, okay, you know what I mean? Even then, it felt like a great excuse to have Batman fight Superman, the Joker, have Poison Ivy, have Catwoman, have, like you said, that big twist with Jason Todd being Clayface, and oh my God, there was actually a Jason Todd interpretation in this universe to begin with. So I'm with you on all of that, but again, I think the artwork really made the story for me. Like, even now, I have the book just for the artwork, pretty much.
Yeah. Dark Knight's an obvious one. I don't think we really need to jump in on that. That's the same as Killing Joke in Year 100. We all know how important that is to not just comics, but written material. Court of Owls. The only one that doesn't have Court of Owls is Corbin.
No, I don't either. I forgot to put it on there.
Yeah.
When I was running through it, which is crazy because Dick Grayson's so involved in that I can't believe I actually left it off my list.
See, that's why I consider the Snyder run all of one, because it goes into the Two Owls story, then jumps into the Year Zero, the death of the family. I mean, the ending was a little shitty, but everything up until the ending was absolutely amazing. Death of the Family to me is just right underneath Court of Owls. I love the Joker and the Death of the Family. I think that's probably my top 3 favorite Joker moments is that storyline. So I think Court of Owls is. You guys have anything else that you want to say about Court of Owls?
I mean, I think Court of Owls belongs on this list, and I don't care what you say, Corbin. Court of Owls belongs on this list. It is so pivotal to the Batman story. Like, this organization has been operating. He is the world's greatest fucking detective, and this criminal organization has been operating in his city under his nose for hundreds of years, and he never even knew about it. They infiltrated and made a plan to use his ward and Dick Grayson to be the next Talon. Didn't even know about it. You've got the greatest crime fighter and the greatest detective in the world, and he doesn't know that this organization exists. They're operating right underneath his nose. So just the changes and the way it affects his life, and the things that they do to Gotham, and how they're all over the place, and they have their hands in everything, and they've become such a phenomenon story-wise in the mythos of Gotham City moving forward. There's no way you can't have Court of Owls on this list.
And what a great creation of a villainous group, the Court of Owls. The way that the masks, how they do everything, fucking genius, man. The way they like hide in the darkness. Court of Owls is amazing.
Oh no, I love Gotham by Gaslight.
Do not, Kyle. Do not. I just don't understand how, like, it changes the universe for that story. It changed Batman for that story. It's a great introduction of, like you said, Brian and Matt, a villain enhancing the world. I don't think it brings anything to me that I go walking away like, wow, that's a lasting impression of Batman for me. Like, when I think Batman, that is like the 15th story that comes to mind. And that's me personally. It's a really good story, and everyone's jumping on me about that. But for me, it's not. It's pivotal for, like, the time or stories moving forward. Listen, I'll get to that, Kyle. I'll get to that. There's something behind that. But I don't know. That's
I know what's behind it.
It made a great animated movie. Okay, hate to bring that tie into, but there we go.
Long Halloween. That's on all of our lists, right?
Hold on, real quick before we move on. Gotham by Gaslight, dude. That book, it's an Elseworld tale. I'll give you that. It's a great Elseworld tale. But dude, when was the last time you actually sat down and read that book?
Fan Fusion, when I got it signed.
Dude, that book is terrible.
Listen.
The plot of that book is so... We sat here 2 weeks ago and Kyle mocked me and laughed in my face when I read him the synopsis, the leaked synopsis for the Joker movie, about how a love interest and a woman shunning him and rejecting him helped turn him into the Joker you see in the movie. And that's the same goddamn plot of Gotham by Gaslight. Martha Wayne laughs in this dude's face and rejects him, and it drives him to go hunt down hookers and prostitutes and kill them, and then try to frame Bruce Wayne for it.
But the importance of that story is showing that a Batman could exist in that period, in that Victorian era. Yeah, the story itself is like hush. It's not too deep.
Any superhero could exist in that time period. I could put Spider-Man in that time period. You could put Flash in that time period.
There is a Spider-Man in that time
because
period.
you're looking at a guy who is making the use of his.
I could put Blank Man or the Toxic Avenger in that fucking time period. It's just a matter of the story you want to make around him.
I mean, also, if you're talking about a story that changed everything, this was the first Elseworld book.
I'll give you that.
To set the stage. I think just on that alone, and Batman being the main character of that book, setting the stage to this totally different worlds that we have, you have to put up. The Court of Owls is great, but Gotham by Gaslight set the stage.
And the other part about that is when you talk to most people about Gotham by Gaslight, they only remember the first half of the book. No one remember how boring the second half of that fucking book is.
Well, is the second half where they were fighting on that blimp, because that was a sequel that's in most trade paperbacks put together. Yeah, they did the Masters of the World or something. That was a 1991 knockoff that came later. The main story was
terrible.
Okay,
I'm just saying the terrible. I don't think it's terrible. It's not terrible. It's a very good read. It probably, if most people would say it's in their top 30 Batman stories. So it's a good.
I just like the sheer look of appalled. Oh, all he did, he just missed the gasp and like the chest push. Oh.
No, I respect mine. I'm just 30. I had it number 8. I get what you're saying though. But we got okay. Is it not in the? It's in the same universe as Court of Owls. Can we admit that? Can we agree to that?
No.
I'll put it up there.
Another contemporary classic. I just don't think we're giving Gotham by Gaslight the respect it deserves for setting stage.
I will retract. It's not a terrible book, but it's not top 10 Batman worthy. Like Brian says, it's barely top 30 Batman worthy.
I'll read a little bit of Gotham by Gaslight for us.
Oh, this will be good.
Why, Packer? Why did you kill all those women? Had to shut her up. Shut her laughter. Whose laughter? Martha Wayne.
Okay. Forget you, bro. That was horrible dramatic reading.
That was fantastic.
I've ever seen. Oh my gosh.
That's an accurate depictor of that book.
I will begrudgingly give you applause for that. Begrudgingly.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm here every Friday.
Let's talk about Tower of Babel. I think Tower of Babel is an interesting choice. I think me and Matt had it, and Corbin, did you have Tower of Babel?
He did.
Yeah, it was number 3 for me.
Number 3?
Yeah.
You guys had it up high. I had it up low, and the only reason I had it so low...
I had it at number 10. I had it at low, too.
Okay. The only reason I had it so low is because it's more of a Justice League tale, like you guys said, but the ending was so... it's one of the most important stories if you want to know what Batman truly thinks like, and him having to solve all those things and basically showing how he's just the greatest mind, in the Justice League. And there's always that saying where somebody go, who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman? And the comic book guys always say Batman. It's fucking there's no question.
Oh, yeah.
Batman. It's Batman's gonna win in almost any fight. So
he's a prepared motherfucker.
I think that
Tower
of Babel's the first Batman story that really shows you that he's a badass motherfucker and he has a contingency plan for everything, even his allies. Like, if there's ever one day where they go rogue and I have to take him down, he's got the tools to do it. He's already got a plan in place.
He's 10 steps ahead of theirs. So.
I do want to say though, and you're definitely right, Matt and Brian, as far as like solidifying that. But I was even going to say the first ones of Batman having that contingency plan and stuff were actually started. You had the 80s crossover Superman, where I think after post-crisis, where Batman and Superman like met up again, and they were fighting Magpie or whatever, and Batman had this like invisible force field or something, and he was like, Superman, if you touch me or whatever, like a bomb will go off and a random person will die or something that he had. And that was like
always,
the first. Huh?
that's always Superman's weakness, is that he loves humanity too much, and Batman's okay with that's his whole thing. He's gonna go after your weakness. So
Yep, and then they had that again in The Dark Knight Returns, where Batman did all those contingency plans to take down Superman and then have the heart attack, which to me was like the first one. But Tower of Babel, you're right, both of you guys, was like the quintessential story. Okay, he has tabs on everyone. This guy is a bad MFer. Like in that case of like planning for everyone. It's one thing to go for the big boy in blue and Superman. It's another to have contingency plans for the whole Justice League. But the reason I had it so high too was that even with doing that and it being a Justice League story, we have to remember that Ra's al Ghul really targeted Batman by, taking the bodies of his parents. And that being such a key way for Batman to have a total meltdown and lose everything was such, I thought, was an integral part of Batman in general. Yes, he has contingency plans for, the Justice League. He plans ahead. He's ruthless in that. However, he still has a spot in his parents that is so central to him, that's so key to him, that even the removal of their bodies or their graves would just have him have a whole shutdown. Every Justice League member got taken out while he was on this one-track mind, just losing sight of everything to get back the graves of his parents, to get back the bodies of his parents. And only when he got to Ra's al Ghul and saw everything did he snap out of that and go, oh, snap, wow, I really got to, look out for everyone else. Like that, the death of his parents, that legacy is still such a central part of the Batman mythos. I think that story showed all of that, even while being a Justice League story, that I put it more to the Batman side than I do the Justice League.
Another reason why that story is so important to me is that was the first time that I think you really saw that Grant Morrison can write really good comic book stories, not like weird Arkham Asylum, Doom Patrol type stuff. He can write really good comic stories, old school superhero shit, and he fucking killed that. Really just killed it. I mean, I think that might have been the point where Grant Morrison became my favorite, writer. So
I had forgotten about that. I had forgotten all about that till you actually had said it, and I was like, "Damn, that would be good on the list."
Yeah, very good. And I think a couple of us might have said this on the show before. I talk about it all the time. If you guys haven't heard it, go watch Fat Man on Batman, the Tower of Babel podcast. They're amazing. It'll blow you away.
I just, like I said, it's one of those stories where the entire Justice League now has to think differently about how they approach and trust Batman, because it makes it, you look at him differently, because he's got a he doesn't trust you. He knows he's got a contingency and plan in place to take you down if you go rogue, and he's just waiting. So that's why I know it was a Justice League story, but I was like, this has got so much effect on Batman. It's got to be on the list. Yeah, I see you and fucking Tim basically like rehashing the fucking Batman movies in the chat.
So did anybody have Under the Red Hood on their list?
Number 4.
Matt?
I didn't have it on my list at all.
Kyle? Yeah, I'm with that storyline was amazing. That storyline brought me back after a long Batman layoff. And just that was that storyline that really made me go, I'm glad that I'm back into reading comics. That the art, the covers on those issues were fucking beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And of course, we all know that one cover where it's Red Hood fighting Batman. It's like a ridiculous amount if you find that book in the wild. So. But a great story, just bringing back Jason Todd and showing how much of a badass Jason Todd really is.
Somebody take the crowbar.
I love how he uses the crowbar as his weapon.
Yep.
That's gangster, man. That's gangster.
Yeah.
You learn from Batman, harness what you fear.
Yep. And I always thought that the Red Hood, the idea of Red Hood was such a great idea. That being the original Joker's story, and him deciding to use that was just genius.
Yeah, I will say that I thought it was important just because, like you said, not only just the inclusion of Red Hood in the Batman universe and being just a great character in general, and one who's developed so many layers from when he was first brought in to now, but also, snap, okay, I see you. but also it really examined, again, the Batman side of facing one of his failures, or what he considered one of his greatest failures, in Jason Todd, in losing him, in seeing him come back, taking all the skills that he was taught from Batman and using it against him, and also seeing the damaged brain of Jason thinking that, hey, I'm doing what you won't do, Batman. Like, you put them down, like you put them away, I'm putting them down, like I'm being better. And still also at the end of this, it all going back to the Joker by having that final stand of saying, listen, I couldn't care less about what happened to me. I'm just so shocked that after all of this, you still won't kill this man. And the Joker just having just so much fun in all of it. Like, dude, like, really? Like, y'all started this off with me? Okay, great. You know what I mean? And that being the irony of it all for him, because he was just having a black ball. But all of these different tie-ins and lines coming in the same story and just bringing it just, Red Hood's badass. Like, that story was great. And just evaluating not only from Jason Todd's side, but also from the Batman side, even Alfred as a character in there. You saw Nightwing as well. There was different, threads in the Bat universe who were affected by this, and they're all coming back and it's all getting tied back by the return of Jason Todd. It was just so big to me, and that's why it was number 4 for me.
Yep, great book.
I thought it was interesting that not many of you had Batman Year One on your list. And
I don't like
Year One was
that.
top 3 for me. I like Batman Year One because it's more of a Jim Gordon story than it is a Batman story, and I like that you're seeing them square off against not big supervillains, but just street level criminals. You're seeing them square off against the people that they really have the hardest time beating, because they can't really get rid of crime the way they want to. And it's just like I said, it's more of a Jim Gordon Batman than Batman story, and I just really liked seeing that chemistry in that story being told in comics. So that's why I think that's probably why I don't have it on my list, because it is more of a Jim Gordon story than it is a Batman story. So it's definitely top 15. You have to put it in top 15. But there's just more exciting stories for me. That one seems a little dated. It's very rare that I'll say that Frank Miller stuff feels dated, but that one feels a little dated.
Oh, brief aside, speaking of Frank Miller and data, did we do like the worst stories too?
No. We should come back for another show for that. That would be a fun one.
Cool. Frank Miller, yeah, he's such a divisive author or writer for Batman. It's crazy, but like you said, save it for another time.
Yeah, you got Dark Knight as most people's top 3, and Dark Knight Returns as most people's bottom 3.
He was back in the day. Now though, like the stuff he came out with Dark Knight 3 and stuff, I was just like, no thanks.
Yeah, it's garbage. But he didn't do Dark Knight 3.
The Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade. That was like a meh Batman book. And for Frank Miller, meh's okay to me. Like,
that was more of a political thing for him than I think it was a comic thing.
Probably, yeah.
I thought Miller did Dark Knight 3.
No, I think he just did some art for it. I think that was Azzarello that did it.
It was crazy. That, but we'll talk about that. That's...
Nightfall. Batman Nightfall is one that a lot of us had on our list.
I don't have it on mine.
You don't have it on yours? I thought you had it on yours, Kyle.
I hate John Paul Valley. I can't stand Azrael as Batman. Yeah, that costume was the worst Batman costume by far. I thought it really was.
Corbin
hardcore.
can't contain himself over here. He's gonna explode.
I would never. I think it's ridiculous to have a story about Batman not letting Dick have the cowl. Why would you not give Dick the cowl over fucking John Paul Valley, a cheesy character? It was a poorly written story for me.
I get you, I do, but I have to say, like, the Jean Paul Valley was one of my favorite versions because the descent to craziness. It was full 90s. Pouches, flamethrowers, so many sharp edges. I mean, I have a paper cut just looking at it. But, like, that run, I mean, just excuse the fact that Batman inexplicably gave Jean Paul Valley, a guy he had just met a little bit ago, the mantle of Batman over that. Because, I mean, you got to have a certain...
How like that's going to happen in any Batman universe, not even in an Elseworld universe.
It was the writers saying, like, to the fans, and listen, everyone wanted grittier and badder. You want a bad Batman, you want a crazy Batman. It'd be going so against Dick's character to do that you needed to bring someone else back there. And in a way, almost it's a parody.
You
Because
know,
they're
that's exactly it. It's a parody. Yeah, and when I think of John Paul Valley, I think of John Claude Van Damme. That's what I think of. Cheese.
Wow, that was cheesy. I'm not gonna lie. I think the run when John Paul Valley was Batman could have been so much better if they'd given them some meaningful villains. They had a Catwoman cameo that was kind of rough, and it was really just focused on like Paul Valley's just sick obsession with her. And you had another with the Joker that was just a random, fun little Joker story, and fun meaning like no actual context to anything else. But most of his villains were like one-shot knockoffs that were no match for him. But it was really cool for me to see the descent into madness for Jean Paul, because he started off with this basic armor that was already kind of crazy for his time, and each time he fought a villain, I need more. I need to direct information directly to the Batcave so I can know these guys before they come. I need the flamethrowers. I need to be able to fire, the batarangs out of my arms. And it got crazier and crazier. And then you had one or two stories that showed like a more humane side of Valley. Like I know there was one where he was saving, he was returning a baby who had been stolen from her mom. In like this like immigrant type story. Like they were selling the babies. John Paul Valley was getting to the bottom of it. He didn't realize that he was programmed also to know Spanish as well. And he was like coming to terms with like this mission that he thought was a waste of time while also, doing a job. So some of it was cool to me, and that's why I defend it. But you're right, a lot of it was cheesy, but I think you have to take Nightfall into account just because of the effect of Bane, the effect of the Batman mantle and all of that. And just the storyline of the breaking of the bat, just that moment alone would catapult at least top 10.
I think,
and that's why it was.
That's exactly why I put it in there, because that's the one definitive Batman story that I remember as a kid, people in school talking about. Like you got to think, we grew up in the '90s, a time where it wasn't cool to admit that you read comics, and people were talking about just how significant it was that Bane broke the Batman's back. It just like people talking about that, and I just think it's no minus the Azrael stuff. It's an iconic story.
I don't, for some reason, maybe that's where I'm wrong. I don't look at the Batman, the Bane thing as part of the that Arkham Knight story, or that what's it called again? Nightfall. I don't, for some reason, I look at the breaking of the bat as like the prelude to it. I don't look at it as the story. But maybe it was under that banner. I just don't remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at
a great issue. Or a great storyline.
Yeah, it's like the middle portion.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because like Bane wears Batman down with all these villains, some knockoffs and some like the Joker and everything. Then Bane has a confrontation with Batman, breaks his back, and then Batman gives it to Azrael, bam, and that's like the middle span of time. And then the last part is when Batman has to fight Azrael to get it back. That's how it is in my head. But I get you on that for sure. But yeah, that to me, I mean, if it's not part of it, then it changes where you rank it significantly, because that's, I mean, 90s with the death of Superman, right?
Yeah, 90s was the death of comics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the Batman and Robin, the Morrison Quitely run on yours?
I do not.
No.
I don't know how you guys. Well, at least for Corbin, I don't know how you can. Well, maybe you didn't like the. Maybe you said you liked Venom. I thought you said you liked Prodigal. Maybe it was Venom you said that you liked. But
it was Venom I liked. I mean, honestly, I look at my Batman stories. It's stories that like either describe to me the importance. Like I didn't really do too many that aside from Batman and the Demon that were like big on the Batman stories. Like you guys are talking about how Court of Owls was big in the Batman like stories, universe, that type of thing. I did more for like the mythos of Batman. Who he was as a person, how did he fit in just as the character. That's why I had Batman Year One, even though I'm not a big fan of it, and Batman Year 100, which was a story written by Paul Pope in 2006. That was just a Batman. You just hit the ground running with the guy who was Batman. In the future, it was a dystopian government. He's fighting police. It was really interesting, and you didn't know who was behind the cowl. It wasn't Bruce Wayne because obviously Bruce Wayne had been passed, but there was a Bruce Wayne, there was a Batman, there was a Gordon, a descendant of James Gordon, and that story to me was big because it showed that even in the future, again, the Batman mantle, Batman is needed no matter what. That was huge for me. But that's why I had Batman and the Robin run there. It was good. It just wasn't my top 10.
I really like Batman and Robin, the Morrison run for two reasons. One, it's got Dick as Batman, and then two, it's got Damian.
Yes.
Two of my favorite characters in that situation, I love when Dick Grayson wears the cowl. I that's one of my favorite moments in comics. It's happened a handful of times, and I every time I see those books, I'll buy them. I love those books.
Yeah.
So
the yellow cover.
yes, and there's some really cool second, third, fourth prints of that book. That first book, there's some beautiful covers by Quitely. I always love Quitely art, and it's Grant Morrison again. And anything with Damian, especially when Grant Morrison's writing it, who created him, that I'm a fan of. Damian's such a big character that I enjoy. So those are why I had Batman and Robin and Batman and Son on my list. One that I didn't hear anybody else say that I have on my list at number 4 is Kingdom Come. I understand why maybe you guys didn't think of it because it's really not thought of as a Batman. It's more of a Superman tale. But I really love that comic. And if I can put it in any top 10 list, I'm going to try and fit it in there. So that's why I do it. That's the book that I give to people that have been out of comics for a while that may know who the characters are. I love to give them that. One of the books I love to give is that book. I have like 5 or 6 trades that I just keep on loan. So if you guys haven't read that, check it out.
Top 10 Spider-Man stories, Kingdom Come.
The Kingdom Come is like top 10 stories.
Yeah.
Curious, but I didn't have enough Batman in it to constitute it for me. Aside from the twist, Lex Luthor and stuff in there, but it's an amazing story. It's one of my top 3 just stories ever. That and Dark Knight Returns, but yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
I found it interesting that you decided to put the entire Capullo Snyder Batman run on your list. I mean, Brian, I understand why you did it, but there's great stuff in there, and then there's some okay.
What's the okay stuff? I think there's only one okay storyline in that whole run.
I wasn't a big fan of the 0 Year stuff.
I don't think 0 Year was the best of it, but I don't think it was okay.
And I wasn't a big fan of the Mr. Bloom stuff. Like
I
Mr.
agree.
Bloom as a villain.
I agree with you on Mr. Bloom. That was cheese.
I didn't
but
like
everything else was fire.
I didn't like the Jim Gordon as Batman with the giant robotic suit and.
No,
I like that.
I did not. It was weird, but I could see why people liked it. I wasn't a fan though.
Yeah.
Different. Batman suit.
One that is number 2 for me is Arkham Asylum: A Serious House on a Serious Earth. That book came out in a time in my life where I was being introduced to some amazing bands and getting introduced into some other stuff to partake in, and it was just one of those books that was really abstract, and it was fucking amazing. And that was my first intro into Grant Morrison. Another one on the list, and just the Joker imagery in that book is nightmarish. That book is really, really dark and crazy, and it really paints a picture of Arkham Asylum that I think is the best picture of Arkham Asylum. It's just a madhouse, a fucking complete madhouse that's run by the inmates. So I don't know. Do any of you guys have Arkham Asylum on your list?
I don't. I did not put it on my list. I didn't even think of it.
That's what I'm saying. Now that we're all talking, all these other ones are starting to be like, shit.
Yeah.
It was good to me. I liked it. The funny thing is, as we were talking, I didn't mention this, and it's probably random, but Arkham, a series, that one's good. That one to me is like one I left outside my top 10, which was Batman the Cult, which I loved, but like hadn't thought of. It's a good story. I have it right here. It's good. I just didn't put it there. It's like just outside. Like, it would definitely be one of my top 20 stories. It just was. There was others I thought were more top 10, but that one was good. And you're right. It was just creepy, unsettling reading that, to be honest.
Yeah. Very cool. Anybody else have anything weird on theirs that we haven't talked about?
No, I think everything got pretty much covered.
Yeah, we nailed it. That was pretty good.
Yeah, very cool.
We talked a lot
I
about
thought we had a lot more disagreements, but y'all just jumped off on the gas light and we kept it moving. I'm playing.
Dude, I reread Gotham by Gaslight before we did the show today again. I'm just.
What
like,
do you change your mind with a notch?
I just reread it and I was just like, fuck.
Okay, my thing is this, but you like Hush so much. It's like I'm not saying the illustration or anything is on par with anything Jim Lee did, but the stories are they're kind of straight to the point. Get it, got it, good. But like then you got to take into account the other aspects of it. Okay, the importance of it, or the illustrations, or what they mean moving forward, and things of that sort. I mean, we'd have an Elseworld story somewhere else, but that set the stage.
Corbin, it's okay. You're in a safe place. This is a safe space, all right? It's okay. Let me hear you say it. Gotham by Gaslight is not top 10. Just let it come out. No, come on. This is a safe place.
Like the story. Not even being there's no politics. There's nothing involved. I like the story. In fact,
acceptance is the first step into recovery, Corbin.
I'm telling you guys. Top 17. Top 17. I can't think of many other stories that are better than that. Like, okay, maybe I put in. All right, let me hypothetical here. Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke, Tower of Babel, Under the Red Hood. Those stay. Take out Year 100. Put in Batman the Cult. Bam. Son of the Demon. Year 1. Nightfall. Gotham by Gaslight. Gotham by Gaslight. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I just maybe it's a personal preference because, okay, maybe you put Court of Owls there. Maybe you put Court of Owls ahead of it just because it's so big of a story.
Okay,
and
I'll take that.
I'll put Batman Metal ahead of it, and I hated Batman Metal.
No. Batman Metal?
I did it just for that reaction. I actually got you to stand up out of your seat.
I cannot. Wow. Okay.
He's about to flip a fucking desk. He's like, I'm done here.
Oh, man. Okay, don't do that. Play with my emotions like that. Wow.
I will put, I will honestly put, I think that Batman White Knight is better than
that's
Gotham
a good
by
one.
Gaslight.
Yes.
And I think also,
Yikes.
I also think that Snyder's new The Last Night on Earth is better than Gotham by Gaslight.
I love that book.
It's too recent for me yet. It's still too recent for me to go put in the pantheon of Batman stories. It's a good one, but I like to avoid recency bias. That's a big thing. I let it wait a little bit. But Last Night on Earth, not Last Night on Earth. White Knight's only been around 2 years, but you're right. But that was big too. But again, I put that as another great, like, it's like Gotham by Gaslight. It's a great story. It's an Elseworld story. It's a great story. It's like a slightly different vein. It's right in there. But Batman White Knight, I cannot lie. That's just a wonderfully done book. So even with the sequel not being as good as I was hoping, but anyway, yeah.
Top 10 Elseworlds tales. That would
we have to. Yeah, I mean between Kingdom Come, Gotham by Gaslight, the White Knight, you have Batman Dracula, you have the Superman series. Yes, I will make a case for that when we get to the Elseworld stuff because I don't understand the lack of respect, guys. You guys were around. Anyway, we're good. We get it. Okay. I gotta calm down.
Just put a sign over Corbin's head that says "Not gonna let this go."
That was excellent, though. That was a very, very cool conversation.
Yes, thanks, Miles.
This go. Well, I hope that helps some people put this debate that you and I personally have had. And I don't know if you shared this with all your peoples.
You know what? I tagged and I'll continue to tag as soon as we're done. I'm gonna make it known. Everyone will know. But I think just for I don't want to say educational purposes, but it's really good to like reflect and reevaluate. Just as comic fans, as having our list and kind of talking it out. It also serves as a good primer for those who don't know Batman stories or want to get into them. To kind of figure out what they like based off what we had. And each of us had similar ones, and we all had different ones based off our own personal preferences. But even that's a great primer if you're trying to get into Batman stories. Yeah, Batman Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, Batman Year One. you know the recent stuff, but there's a whole bunch of things in the middle that you could pick up and run with and just go off on your journey there. So, even that was good. Hopefully people think about Gaslight and say, hey, listen, this guy put up a fight for it, maybe it's worth the read.
Yeah, I would like to hear what the listeners think. Go read it. Well, if you don't have a link, we'll hook you up with a digital link. So,
yeah, I mean, if you guys in the chat have any books that you think we missed off that you want to throw in there that it would be on your top 10 list, let's hear them. Definitely speak up and throw them out there.
I have a few of these. Anybody wants one? Hit me up. I'll mail it to you.
There you go.
Oh, man.
I need one because I think I used mine as emergency toilet paper.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, I'm kidding you.
Oh. Fun.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But
Although now I feel like.
But I think we got it. I think we covered it good and gave you guys some good stuff to think about and go read about.
We covered it well.
Yeah.
Not good. Well.
Yeah, we.
The English.
I think we blanketed it. We smothered that fire.
Put it out.
Only we can prevent forest fires. Real quick before we sign off for the night, I want your guys' opinion. The Joker trailer dropped this week. I want to know what you guys think of Joaquin Phoenix's descent into the Joker.
I don't think anything's changed since the teaser.
You're still in for it?
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed. I think I'd be in for that movie no matter what the trailer looked like.
It looks like it's going to be slow and fucking boring to me.
I can see that.
It looks like it's going to be a little too indie.
Yeah, if you're not a fan of movies and Joaquin Phoenix,
I am totally not a fan of movies.
Movies with Joaquin Phoenix is what I meant to say.
I see it playing out a lot like Her. I think it's going to be at the same pace and burn of kind of like Her, with a little bit more craziness in it.
Yeah.
But
I really like how he used the maniacal laugh thing and the crying thing. I think that's genius. And if Joaquin Phoenix came up with that and they put it in the script, that's fucking amazing.
Gotta agree with that. I definitely am judging because I'm not excited. Like Kyle said, it does look a little boring, a little slow to me. The fact that they're not basing off of any comic or anything kind of gives me no frame of reference either. So I'm looking at like a crime movie, which I don't traditionally look at. So, I mean, I'm going to. There was some certain scenes, certain imagery that kind of, conjured up thoughts of Batman that I was like, or the Joker from like, movie and stuff. I was like, okay, cool. Those shots, like that shot with him in the subway, putting on the mask, kind of blending in with the rest of the Jokers was really cool to me. But aside from that, I'm glad I got some more context there as far as just like his relationship with his mom and kind of what kind of sets him off. But I don't like to feel sympathetic for people who I look at as villains. I like to have other angles where I could look at them from a certain, like Killing Joke did a great job of like me sympathizing a little bit for like what he went through while also not like understanding, condoning how he spiraled out of control.
So you didn't like Infinity War then?
Infinity War? Oh,
Yeah.
for Thanos?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to wipe out half the Earth. I don't care what personal reason you have. It's detrimental to the lives of others.
Murder is murder.
That is selfish and evil. Thank you, Brian. That does not explain that away at all. So yeah, exactly. It was just weird. And so with this, if they're gonna make me try to feel bad for this guy and he does these horrific acts because of his bad day and his mom and all this, then no, you're gonna have lost me right there. I'll still watch it, but no, it's not gonna fly. That's not it.
I think it's going to be more of a movie where you see him being treated one way by society and he spins out of control and nobody notices him until he starts acting out and until he starts doing all this crazy shit and he's getting the attention for it. And I think that's what the emphasis on seeing everyone wearing the Joker masks was and him in the crowd like smiling and on the subway. It's the attention that he gets that makes him feel alive and makes him notice that helps with that descent into madness.
I think he's just hungry.
You think he's thirsty?
I think he's hungry for food.
Oh.
Because he's so fucking skinny. I think he's hungry and he's grumpy. I think he needs to eat a Snickers. And I think if he would have had a Snickers, everything would have been okay.
He takes a Snickers, he turns into Jack Nicholson Joker. You're not too if you're hungry.
I don't know. It just looks like it's just going to be too slow.
Got them hunger pains of working on them, huh?
Oh, I'm Joaquin Phoenix. I lost 52 pounds for this movie. Get the
Yeah,
fuck,
that weird flex he does with his stomach and chest is just abnormal to me.
fuck out of here. You can take your indie movie and shove it up your fucking Phoenix ass.
Yeah,
And they,
I'm excited for it. I like the fact that it came out that the director of this movie pitched the idea of Warner Brothers spinning off and doing a DC Black Label movie line.
wow.
So I would love to see it in the fact that he fought to have it R-rated too, which I think it's going to be a fantastic movie.
He totally should order Jimmy John.
He should order Jimmy John's.
Except it'll be a shitty sandwich. And you'll still be hungry.
But
Wow.
Great show. Excellent, guys.
interesting that the take on the Joker is split.
Yeah. I mean, again, it'll be something to revisit when the movie's out and everyone's seen it, and we go, those of us who were behind it all along, I told you it was going to be good.
I already know
those
what
of
Matt's
us
going
who
to give
think
it.
it's
He's
gonna
going
be
to give it a 9.8.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to 9.8.
I'm going to give it 2.5 couch cushions, I'm sure.
Oh, get out of here with that.
I'm already 7 couch cushions, a fucking Persian rug, and 3 throw pillows. So fuck y'all.
I'm just saying. I can see my rating right now. Maybe I'll put a throw pillow. We'll see.
Oh my god.
Shout out to Couch Crunch.
Yeah, shout out to Couch Crunchers. They'll love that. I'm sorry for Corbin's momentary lapse in realizing what show he's on.
I
His
knew
bout
what
of delusion.
It is not a promotion either.
His bout of fucking delusion.
Okay.
Buddy.
Did anything else come out of D23 that excited you guys other than what we talked about last week with Moon Knight and She-Hulk and
Nope.
That's about it. I mean, again, we're looking at this. I guess they have that deal. If you buy it, you could register as a D23 member before September 1st and get 3 years for $150.
yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Mm,
Now, if you didn't have to watch the commercials on Hulu, that'd be a phenomenal deal.
Exactly. And if I didn't have to watch commercials, I would have already had it. But I'm deciding to hold and reserve judgment. I did the same thing for DC Universe. Yeah, obviously there's a lot more reason to buy it on Disney. But at the same time, I'm not losing anything by waiting. I mean, half the stuff I want to see on Disney won't be out until 2021 anyway. So,
Tim says, I'll give it a leather sectional that reclined with massaging chairs.
Damn, that's a good rating.
You win. You win.
I give it one of Bogcat's electric reclining chairs with a USB port in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Shout out.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that'll do it for this week's episode. I want to thank Corbin for coming on and joining us to talk Batman. It's been something that we've been debating behind the scenes for weeks or I should say months since that whole situation started. But we finally, hopefully, put that fire out and put that to bed and can move forward.
Let's turn it into a show.
Yeah. If you guys like this, let us know, and we can do more of these moving forward. I had a good time tonight talking about it with you guys.
This is a blast.
Don't forget, guys, do not forget about the 200 subscriber giveaway. So if this is your first time listening to this show on YouTube or Facebook or any of our other platforms, head on over to youtube.com/Absolute Geek Podcast, subscribe, and as soon as we hit 200 subscribers, we're going to give that book away. Don't forget,
Give a book away.
Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button and get this up to 50 likes. And when we do, we'll give away that print. Guys, don't forget about the new Absolute Geek shirts. Make sure to check Brian out every Monday on Tales from the Flip Side and on the podcast. Good stuff going on in the podcast for him right now.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff coming.
Make sure to check Corbin out on his new podcast. What's your new podcast about, Corbin?
That's a good question. Comics. Yeah. I don't. There's little else to go off on at this point. It's in development. But
It seems more about sports to me. I've never seen so many John Gruden impressions in my lifetime.
I thought you were okay. So see, if we're talking about yeah, so it's man, I'm not doing a great job selling this. Like
Not even a little bit.
sports, pop culture.
Unsubscribed.
Just look up. Yeah, it's there. Huh?
Unsubscribed.
I just
Okay, I'm sorry.
buddy John Holmberg. I gotta tell him my story.
Fucking killer story.
Isn't it a cool story?
Yeah.
Gotta make it happen.
But guys, I want to thank everyone for hanging out in the chat tonight. Like I said, if you want to see more of these, let us know, and we can put together more lists in the future. If this is your first time finding us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to this on Monday morning on any of your podcasting platforms, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review, as it's always good to help us out in the podcasting rankings. But for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I am Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Brian.
I'm Corbin.
And we'll have Corbin on when they announce Spider-Man back into the Marvel Universe. And we'll see you guys next time.
And we're out.
That
I
was
would never be back if that was the case.
That was a great show, guys. That was fun. That was fun. That conversation just ran. That was perfect.
It was good. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, guys. That was fun.